We are ready to go, though. I know it's like we're good.
Oh, we're rolling? Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Should have asked that before I hit
Jeez.
record.
Me and Eric been over here waiting for 5 damn minutes now.
That's not even close to
Good
true. I was the
grief.
first one here. Thank you.
Yeah, first one here, last one ready. What's up with that,
Not
man?
by much. I
Mm.
don't. No comment.
Welcome, everybody.
Yes, I'm pulling up the outline. Chill.
Jeez.
Oh, it's a good thing it's a long weekend. I don't have to deal with you. Nice shirt.
Thanks, man. Yeah, this is new long leaf reptilia swag.
Looks nice.
Thanks, man.
They were made by the best.
Yeah, made by Smitty himself.
They weren't made by me. I just made sure everything was in place for Mary to make them. Mary's the one who did it. Mary's the master when it comes to screen printing.
Smitty's company. The company he works for.
I orchestrated it. So
yeah.
I had a hand.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They did come out really good. I like mine a lot.
Yeah, no, yeah. And especially after a wash, it fits way better after a wash too. Yeah. Wash and dry. Yeah. So hopefully I'm gonna make these available to the public soon. I'm gonna take an order for anybody that wants one. So
I gotta get some PCE shirts made at some point too. I've never been able to do that with screen print because there's too much detail, like fine detail in it, to really sort of pull it off. So having the digital option now, I can play around with things a bit, and I don't know. We'll see. But this is episode 166 of the Herpeticulture Podcast, which is brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. We put out the word this morning that there are some new sizes that will be released very soon. Not going to say anything more than that. Other than that, if you need an 8-footer, it's going to be a thing. Maybe. I can neither confirm nor deny.
Cannot confirm nor deny this statement.
I thought 6 was crazy, but it's about to get even crazier. So, and there is another size in particular that I'm very excited to see for myself. But you guys are just going to have to check the Facebook and Instagram page for BlackBox to see what we got cooking. Awesome stuff. Cages, Rex, we love them. Can't say enough great things about them. Jake's are right there behind them, and look at those. It's like the Bentley of snake racks, man. Look at that.
Oh, so clean, so fresh, so clean, boy.
Yeah. And then Steve Sanctuary and his Venom hot sauce. Check him out. Check him out. If you buy his hot sauce, you're supporting him and his rehabilitation, rescuing, education of the general public, and his overall operation. Like, he's got a lot of stuff. He's got to feed these things. He's got to take care of these things. That costs money. And if you get some of his Venom hot sauce, you're helping him do these very things. So also check him out on Facebook and Instagram, Steve Sanctuary, and SteveSanctuary.com. He's a good dude. We like him.
Like his hot sauce even more. Not really, but yeah.
He's all excited. There's these new hot ones, Pringles, and I guess there's like 4 different kinds, and he could only find 2. And it was funny because I was in Walmart this morning and saw them, and I was like, oh, that's funny. And I kind of thought of Steve. And then lo and behold, he posted a picture of him. He's like, I could only find the 2. And I was like, if I see the other ones, I'll hunt them down and I'll ship them to you, buddy. That man loves him some hot sauce.
Yeah, buddy.
I need to try some of his stuff. My girlfriend likes spicy food, so I need to see how spicy they really are.
There you go. Give him a shot.
Some of them are almost more of like, not necessarily like, he's not going for like the super heat kind of thing, but he's going for just a nice thing to like, like the cottonmouth sauce that we talk about so much. It's like, it's not super hot, but it is nice to add on to things for a little extra, kick.
It's just like a little spice on the way to Flavor Town. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A little pit stop.
Yeah, you take a pit stop while you eating sauce, a little bit of spice in there. You know, I can roll.
This week we are joined by Mr. Erick Hernandez of Basuca's Ectotherms.
How's it going,
What's up?
Going good. Pretty good. It's really hot in here too, so
yeah.
in the Midwest.
I know Jake's hot because he's in his room, and I know that stays pretty warm. And I'm in the garage with 2 fans going, and it's just circulating hot air. So
it's actually not too bad. It's about 77 in here right now.
That's not bad. Pretty good.
I'm pretty comfortable. So
winter can come already.
Not too bad. Yeah, dude. The only reason I'm looking forward to winter is for cooling down snakes. I'm itching to breed like bad, but that's the only thing about winter I'm excited for. I don't like the cold.
I'm a summer person. I'd rather be sweating than be cold.
And you live in the Midwest, man.
Yeah.
It's miserable.
Yeah, I'm the opposite.
The winter. You ain't from the Midwest, man. If you're up there in Wisconsin type of areas, Minnesota, nah.
You can add layers all day.
Nah.
At a point, you can't take any more off.
Yeah, well, you can say that when it's 30 below.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll rephrase that. I can't wait for winter in South Carolina.
Fair.
Snow's cool and all, but I'm over snow after a solid 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, it was cute. It's not anymore. But fortunately, we don't have that problem down here. So
yeah, we do months and months of snow. Something starts early, and then you just don't see the ground for.
You just don't see it.
3 months.
Crazy.
Jeez, man.
I don't even know how like the grass and stuff even survives that. How come everything up there isn't just a dirt patch when spring rolls around?
It's all about roots. All the for example, the prairie plants and all the native plants, they put down like really deep roots, and they just stay in there, hunker down. They can even withstand fires, prairie fires, prairie burns, prescribed burns. That's all common here. They'll come back.
Yeah, we do a lot of prescribed burning around here.
Yeah. I think it's mostly just to keep the pine trees at bay.
Yeah, it's
no other purpose but to get rid of the pine trees that are growing.
Well, it's more of an underbrush thing. It's healthy for a lot of things in a forest. I've been a part of several prescribed burns.
Speaking of burns, I burned myself on the oven before I hopped on here, pretty bad, right on my wrist.
Oh,
this must be what Freddy Krueger feels like. It stings. And apparently, so I don't know if you guys know this either, but the girls at work said if you get burned, if you get yellow mustard and you put it on the burn right away, it kills. The sting goes away. It heals faster. I've never heard of it, but they swear by it. So at some point I'm going to try it.
Yeah, no. Right before she told you that, they went, "Hey, watch, we're going to make this dumbass bunch of mustard all over his arm.
Stain his skin with mustard." I don't know, because they have some of the machines that make the kazoos and stuff. They get hot, and sometimes people get burned by them, but they're not paying attention to where they're putting their hands and stuff. And so, apparently, just some mustard slapped on there cures burns.
Little mayo, little bread.
Tomato, lettuce.
That's a Sammy.
I'll keep some of the packets in my pocket.
Yeah. It's my first aid kit. There's packets of mustard in there.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just 12 o'clock. It's great.
Probably work on snake bite too.
Oh, geez. Yeah, next time somebody asks me what do I do when I get bit by a venomous snake? Just throw some mustard on it, man. It's all good.
Rub, preferably if you get stone ground.
Get in your pocket. Throw it out.
Yeah, that's it. Just keep them in there, locked and loaded. Now I have to worry again. Thank God for mustard. That's all I have to say.
What would we do?
What would we do without mustard? I don't even like mustard, though, for real.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's not very good by itself.
Most condiments aren't, man. You sitting here eating spoonfuls of ketchup, just yeah, baby.
30 packets of ketchup. What do you want for Frankenstein? What do you want for breakfast? 30 packets of ketchup. I know y'all have seen Big Daddy.
I don't know if I know.
Oh man,
I don't think I have. Buddy.
He lets the kid do whatever he wants, and so he's like The kid named himself. He's like, "What do you want to call yourself?" And he's like, "Frankenstein." He's like, "Frank." Okay, Adam Sandler movie. And he's like, "What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? 30 packets of ketchup." So they get him 30 packets of ketchup in a spoon. The kid's just eating it off a blade.
Oh gosh, man.
Which, if you have kids, actually isn't out of the realm of possibilities. Like, they'll do it, dude.
I mean,
True.
They have no fear.
no, they don't. They don't care. They'll try anything. Well, that's a lie. But yeah.
What's new over the week in Jake's world?
In Jake's world? Did I get my Janai?
You did. I don't know if that happened.
That happened last week. No, yeah, it did happen last week.
Did it happen after or before the episode last week?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you did mention it.
Yeah. So that's the newest thing. I got the female Janai. Other than that, nothing. Just maintaining at a massive feed. So like
you
once
have a pair now of those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I have a pair of northern Mexican pine snakes. And I tell you what, man, those have become like a huge favorite for me. Like they're becoming that snake that's like somebody came out to me and was like, "Hey, you're gonna keep one snake the rest of your freaking life." I might pick Janai. I'm not gonna lie. Like they've become some of my favorite animals. They're really awesome to work with. So I'm not saying something. I keep a lot of shit.
It does say something.
Like it's I really I don't know what it is. I couldn't even tell you.
Someone said you had to give your citrus Nerodia to me.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's what somebody said.
If someone said that, or they take your Janai away, like if it's a hostage situation and it's either you give me the citrus or that your Janai get it.
Yeah, I guess
gonna be.
I'd have to give them over, man. I love the citruses, but
no, I got an idea.
Janai. Yeah, you got an idea? Nah, but no, they're great. Citruses are great too. Those are fantastic. You can't have them, dude. Chill. Okay.
Well, I am officially part of the Janai Club as well because Chris Painchab sent me one in the box of corns that I got as a surprise. Like I was going through the box and I got the complimentary penis drawing that Chris includes in every shipment we get from him.
Okay, it is a scrotum.
We're gonna have a straight up art gallery of Chris's work.
It is a scrotum. It is not just a penis. It is a scrotum.
It's the whole thing. Mine was jumping on a trampoline. Yours was on a skateboard.
Mine's on a skateboard.
It's like in Superbad, like when he had a problem with drawing genitalia all over everything. It's the exact same thing. Like all the stupid, like the ones on with the cowboy hat riding the bomb. Like that's the kind of stuff that Chris is sending us with these shipments. And I have to hide it in my closet so my child doesn't see it when she walks into the room.
I put mine on the fridge.
You did put yours on the fridge.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that off eventually. I just thought it was funny. She's still up there, still rock and roll.
I'm not getting rid of mine. Like I'm not throwing mine away.
We're
gonna start collecting them, and then one day we'll do a gallery or something, and they'll probably sell for millions of dollars. If a banana duct taped to a wall can sell for $3 million or whatever it was, surely one of Chris Painchev's illustrations, phallic illustrations, could sell for just as much.
I wouldn't doubt it, especially if we have like a whole menagerie of them.
All doing different things.
Yeah, all doing new stuff. You know, scrotums just being scrotums.
But I was digging through. I got some corns from him, and so I was like, pulled out corns, and then there's a little other deli cup with some masking tape on it, like the blue painter's tape, and it says "best fucking snakes ever." And I look and there's a Janai in there, and I was like, texted. I was like, "You motherfucker!" He's like, "What?" And I was like, "The Janai." Because I didn't know he was sending that to me, so I was like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
So
soon you will find out, young Padawan.
I fed it last night. They came in yesterday.
Nice.
Gave it a live fuzzy. Took it no problem.
Mine ate a fuzzy.
Half the corns ate right away too, which is nice.
Speaking of, I need to go through all the snakes and pull out dishes and make sure everybody ate their food. I'm thinking about that.
It turns out, ironically, I wasn't planning on thorn scrubs laying, but I'm getting some thorn scrub eggs because that girl's gravid as hell and just shed. So that was her pre-lay. So she'll be dropping. She looks stupid thick. Blood Red is going to drop any day now soon too. First corn clutch is going to hatch any day now. I'm on day like 58 of the Ladies Island to Ladies Island stuff. And then the Ladies Island male to the Ghost Tessera female. That clutch is due to hatch probably the next weekend. We'll see.
All right.
And then Baird's to follow, probably 2 or 3 weeks after everything else. So
yeah, nobody cares about those.
Yeah, no one does. I'm just saying the end of July is when those will probably show up. Stupid things.
Stupid Bairds.
You got a nice season. Congrats.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I got all these babies from Chris. I got these Diones, and they've been kind of about half of those have been eaten regularly now. There's still like half of them that haven't taken a meal yet. The other half of it are like 2 or 3 meals deep already. So I don't know. We'll see. But
they'll be all right. Let them roll.
I'm freaking loving, though. I think we did talk about those Montrose tubs, the 96-ounce Dollar Tree tubs with the red lids. I am so freaking sold on those things. Like, if you got hatchlings, especially small stuff like, corns and Bairds and Diones and stuff like that, like Nerodia especially, that tub is big for baby Nerodia.
Yeah.
But they stack. They're not super tall. You can fit a big enough water bowl. You can fit a hide or two. The lids like snap on, which is really nice for me because I don't have to worry about losing anything because that's a problem. I'm loving them though, and they're stackable. I just write with masking tape on the front who's who, and then on top of the lid, that's where I keep track of when they ate and what they ate, and I'm just really liking them because for stuff that's temporary, like isn't going to be hanging out long term, they work out perfectly until stuff sells.
Yeah.
And then the stuff that I do end up holding on to, like that's what goes into the racks and stuff. So I'm digging it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, he sent them to me because I'm always. Hey, I love Dollar Tree when it comes to tubs and things and water bowls and whatnot.
Everything.
But when he showed me these, I went and looked at them, and then I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Those things are for baby Nerodia, man, and like all that other stuff for real. Like if a 6-cord, it has the same sort of footprint as a 6-cord in terms of like the length and the width, but it's not nearly as tall.
Yeah, it's just shorter.
It's probably a third shorter than a 6-cord if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they stack fine and everything. So, and there's more than enough clearance between the lid and like a humid hide, which I have in with some of the Diones and stuff, and the water bowls. Like, unless it's something that's on the bigger side and has like a meal in it, then I would worry about it. Maybe like especially in the water bowl not being able to get out between the lid and it. But for anything smaller, it's perfect. It's great.
Are you using the red water dishes like these?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm using that with the corns that Chris sent, and then in the other ones I had some smaller little like condiment Tupperware cups, like reusable condiment size cups, where I keep all my mustard, and that's what the water bowls were, and couldn't get the stains out, but it's all good.
Mustard
stain. Yeah.
But that's it.
Yeah. So, Eric, how about you tell us a little bit about you and your collection? What's been going on with
you're a man
of
many tastes.
I'm a bit eclectic.
It's awesome.
I do have a little bit of a thread. I do like island species, dwarf species. So I have a lot of Caribbean boas, Chilobothrus. That's only the genus of the Caribbean boas. I don't keep any of the Trophodolphus tropes, and I don't keep any of the Coralis, even though the Russian burger eye and the Grinensis, those are pretty cool. But
I was going to say you would be like Russian burger eye would be like right up your alley. Like
yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be a while until those get established enough to the point where it's going to be kind of spread out. So, and then if I could keep that island locality of carpet pythons, I would definitely. I'll give up all my coastals just for that, just to have everything like island stuff. And then I have the Tannenbar scrubs. And I think that's it. But on the Caribbean island boas, Chilobothrus boas, I have 6 species of them. So I have Puerto Ricans, I have Jamaicans, I have Cubans, I have Dominican Republic boas,
Those are red mountains.
Yes, those are red mountain boas. And then I have Berry Island. I don't know if I mentioned that already. And then I'm getting another locality of I would say Bahamian boas. They're in that species. Subspecies, I don't think they're a different subspecies. The Berry Island boas, they're in a different subspecies, but I think they all got collapsed anyways in the Stridulatus. That one is the Ectotherms, which is an island, I think a little bit east of the Bahamian chain, and Abaco Island, which is another island that also inhabits that same subspecies as in the Berry Islands. But those I bought this week, so they haven't come yet. So that's on the Chilobothrus side, and then I have a lonely pair of king snakes, speckled king snakes. Those are locality specific. They're from Magnolia County in Arkansas, from a friend of mine. He's a herpetologist over there, and he has some permits. And he collected grabbed a female from actually a mating pair, and he collected both, and they end up having a clutch. So he sent me a pair of those. I really love those. Those are pretty cool. The only colubrids I have, but I think hopefully I won't get too big into them.
It's a slippery slope, man.
Yeah, I know.
It's too late for me and Jake, but you can still save yourself.
Yeah, no. I'm thinking of just having a pair of desert kings with their black heads. So I have the speckled kings, which are I call them the diamonds of North America.
Yeah.
And then the blackhead, the desert kings would be the blackheads of North America. So that would have both. Just something to keep, just to make fun of it in my head, I guess. And then I have a bunch of different reds and red head xanthics. For those, I have Madame Blueberry lined. I have Yakapori Depot line, Russian, and I have what's the third one? I have the Swedish line of xanthics, which throw reds on occasion, and then there's one more. And Brisbane coastals. I have 3 of those.
Man, I don't know what it is about those Russians though that I've always. I don't know. Those have always seemed to catch my attention more than a lot of other stuff, and I don't, especially like the tigers.
Yeah.
I can't exactly figure out what it is because honestly, like if you asked me to tell you what the major differences were, I probably couldn't. But there's just something about the look of the Russians that I love.
Yeah, they have a very pixelated.
Almost like mosaic-y kind of like tile.
Yep.
I don't know. That's exactly.
And that's something that attracts me a lot to the red phenotype in particular. Because that red phenotype tends to have that kind of checkered, pixelated head pattern. And kind of, if you look at the southern coastals and the Brisbane localities and whatnot, they tend to have that pixelated head pattern with bold. So I kind of gravitate into those a little bit.
So what is? Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that Russian line is very potent. I mixed it with Madame Blueberry and made some spectacular babies. And then I did an Xanthic pairing where I got some heads from that. Same thing, just some really, really nice. So that it hopefully the guys at NPR could get a clutch and we can get it out there a little bit more because that bloodline it's very potent on what it does and does some really nice positive stuff. That Balin tiger and Russian that like Billy Hunt has, those are fabulous too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Balin could produce an ugly snake if he tried. Especially when it like with the tiger stuff in particular, it's like even hearing the story of that. Because he did an article in the magazine talking about that. And, like, I guess for whatever reason, and that's just me not being super hip to sort of carpet lines and morphs in particular, aside from, like, the major ones. I don't know. I was surprised that it kind of started out with as few animals as it has and how it's just evolved and become so diverse and stuff. And still having that sort of novel look to them, that's just... I don't know. I find that wild, but I think it's just the right amount of outcrossing to the right animals seems to have really just kept that line looking really sharp.
I think it shows the power of selective breeding, and it shows the power of line breeding. There's a lot that can be done with any line, any snake, any species of snake, if you have the patience, pretty much, to keep that going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what was the sort of the timeline for you in terms of like the Chilobothrus, the Morelia, the Simalia, sort of what came first and what was the sort of the evolution from that? And then we'll definitely dive into the red stuff a little bit more.
Sure. So I grew up in Puerto Rico, and for college I moved to Iowa State. And for some reason, one of my drives to actually move to the United States wasn't only because the economy was crashing and Puerto Rico was going through a really rough patch. And it wasn't only college, but I really wanted to keep all these different snakes. Because in Puerto Rico, I think the only snakes that were legal at the time to keep was bull pythons, maybe a type of garter snake, and then sulcata tortoises. Even though you can find a lot of stuff illegally, those were the only ones that were legal to keep. So me geeking out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the United States, and I'm going to be able to go and keep all these stuff. I remember having a Word file of pictures of, okay, I'm going to keep this species, and I'm going to keep this species, and I'm going to keep this species. Once I moved, I think 2009-ish, I got my first, I guess, Morelia. Before that, I had some forum friends, because I was active in the forums while I was in Puerto Rico, sent me some stuff here and there, but I went to Tinley in 2009. That was my first Tinley.
It was all over after that.
I know. First experience, like seeing a big reptile show, all these snakes. It was very wild and very like eye-opening. And it was funny because I didn't go with that much money, but I said I wanted this and this. What I wanted was a jungle carpet python, and I wanted a Dormouse boa. And I probably had less than $300, and I bought both with less than $300.
Wow.
Gee whiz.
I know, right? You can't do that anymore. So I got a Dormouse boa, and I got a jungle, a supposedly jungle. I remember seeing some really nice jungles, but the prices of jungles haven't really moved much since then. They're still $500 for a nice jungle, which is nice. It shows the testament that snake has stayed at a level for a long time. So I got that. That me being, I'm very particular about what I wanted, how it looked. That jungle didn't have lineage. For some reason, that bothered me. I'm like, okay, no, I need to know where it came from. I need to know what it is. I want those yellows, whatever. I found out that what's his name? The people at Headhunters, Chris, lived in Iowa too. He actually lived, I think, 35 minutes from Ames, which is where the university was, where I was. And I bought a diamond intergrade from him. Really nice, but still like didn't catch me, and I wanted to focus on something. And at the time, I was really geeking out on snakes like Madame Blueberry, on snakes from Michael Pinnell, on the reds that Jason Bailey was doing, the reds that Luke Snell was doing too. And I'm like, that's where I want to go. Not only because it's something that attracts me, just how it looks, and I really wanted to recreate that southern look, because the only thing that southern that we had was the Brisbane at the time, and they were kind of rare at that point. But I had a feeling that that phenotype was gonna be thrown at the wayside because caramel started to become more popular. Like, here's caramel. We know how it works. It's incomplete dominant, and it's okay. It's on and off switch kind of thing, right? And then these red hypos, as they were called at that time, weren't consistent, and not nobody, but people didn't really want to put the time into it. So I'm like, okay, that's where I want to go. I was fortunate enough that buddy of mine at the time, his name was David Poppy, who's also in the forums and np.net. He was, I think, probably an hour and a half for where I was. He had some Madame Blueberry stuff, and he posted on the forums if somebody wanted. He asking for help for sexing a clutch. So he came over in my dorm, and I sexed one of his clutches, and he gave me one of the reds in return, and that did it for me. I'm like, yep, I'm definitely gonna start here. So my next move was I need to pair it, but I didn't want to pair it to anything, not a snake that I found. I needed something that complements, and because I knew that this was going to be a long-term thing, I needed something that not only complements what I was doing, but kind of gives it new blood without washing away what I'm looking for, right? So I was fortunate enough, and I'm going to send you a picture of her actually, to find this girl up for sale at the forum. And at the time, I was advertised Blenky line 2006 female. And she is just gunmetal blue, no black on her. She's a hypo, but without the red, if that makes sense, like green. And I'm like, that's what I want, because I want that hypo kind of ghostly look. I want to wash away as much of the black as I can from the reds, because for me, I like the bold look, but what really drives me, or what really attracts my attention, is that hypo and that ghost look, like the ghost reticulated pythons, the purple albinos. I remember the pastel ghost, the pastel axanthics, those like washed. That for some reason does it for me. So I wanted to hopefully get that from that Lemke female, and I think I found it. And from there, I made F1, and from F1, that's from her first clutch. And then from F1, I got a mail from Kyle. Forgot his last name, but he went to South Africa to do his PhD and his master's, and he acquired a Jag, which I'll send it to you too, that was produced by Aaron Buhali from animals from Madame Blueberry and Will Leary. And I used that to pair one of my F1s from this pairing and the male that I got from David Poppy, and then it just escalated from that. And I've done outcrosses with other red lines, like the Russian, and at some point, once the female is ready, I'll do Brisbane as well, just so that I can add red, and then without taking away anything, or putting away anything that I don't really want in.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, that's
oh man,
yeah,
it's nice. His kid, I'll show you his kid. His kid was from my F1 cross, and his kid looks a lot like him. It's a little older picture, but he still looks just the same. And that I sometimes kind of chuckle, because the old naming.
Oh yeah, I remember that animal.
Yeah,
I remember looking at that picture. Yeah,
he's nice. There's no black in that. All the black, it's all washed. So the old name of red hypos or red hypo jags, it really holds true. It is a type of hypo. And listening to Nick describe how Bredli hypo works, it does work a lot like the reds. At least the ones that I'm working with.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So that's, I mean, How long, like how many generations deep are you with the Reds in particular?
Right now, I hatched F3s for Reds. And next year, if the males that I produce in 2020 are ready, I'll produce F4s.
Yeah, because I don't know about Jake, but for me, like when I hear red carpets, like you're the first name that comes to mind for me in terms of like if someone's looking for Reds, like you're the first person I'm gonna mention, because like I said, I'm not super heavy into carpets, but knowing, like seeing the stuff that people have gotten from you, seeing the stuff you've posted, you produced, it's kind of a no-brainer. It's like if you're looking for Reds, like there's really nowhere else to go, in my opinion. Like, I mean,
Thank you.
I don't know what if Pinella's still doing red.
He has his own line of Reds. They are unrelated to Madame Blueberry. They're unrelated to Russian or any of that stuff. So it's his own stuff. Balin produces some sometimes. And whenever he does, I don't know if he posts them anywhere. I know that if you go to Tinley and you find them and you see them there, buy them.
Yeah. Have you tied any of the Pinnell stuff into yours?
No.
Just because it's unrelated, or?
Well, they display more black than what I like. I do like their busy pattern, and I do like that the stripe that they show. I do like a busier stripe than your normal tigers, nice and clean. But it's just not what I am looking for. And also I would like to keep his, because he's worked on that line so much. Same thing with Balin. He's worked on his line so much, and in our lines, and I put our lines because I don't consider mine a line. They're so different. I wouldn't want the stuff to blur out. I don't want to. It's like, oh, you're working with Erick's stuff, you're working with the Balin stuff, and then we are all working with the same looking animal. And I want to have that boundary because diversity it's fun. That's why we all love carpets. So having distinct lines that we all curate, I think helps everyone.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very sort of, it's a fine line where it's like you want to keep your stuff where it's at. You know, when you have the other two sort of separate strings of that sort of doing their own thing, trying to keep that focused on yours, it seems like that can be kind of tough from time to time. I'm sure it's tempting to want to throw in some of the other stuff you've seen and just to see what happens, right?
Honestly, I'm very, and I think I've talked to Billy Hunt about this. I'm very focused on what I do and what I buy and my long-term goals with the snakes and all that. And I like their looks for what they are, but I don't have a desire on like, okay, I'm going to go grab their stuff and put it to my stuff. Like for some reason, I don't. That's the same way I don't have, that's the only Morelia I keep. I only have coastals. And I don't have any Rockhamptons. I don't have any other stuff. I only have the stuff that I'm going to do with Reds. That's it. The only morphs I have that one jag, and I have the Axanthics, and I have as many Axanthics as I do, mainly hets, because of that end goal that I have. Once I create my visual Axanthics, all my hets, or majority of my hets, are going to go, and I'm going to, again, stream down to my focus, which is first I got to see how the visual Axanthics is going to look. But I have a vision in my head of how I want that to look like. And if it does, or if I think I can get it, then I'm just going to go and select the animals that I need to get to that point.
I think it's one of those things that, like, for you working, working the animals that you work, it's safe to say that, somebody's going to get a red from you, somebody's going to get a red from Pinnell or Balin, and they're probably going to do that, which is fine. But, for somebody like you who's working, your side of the Reds, like, I think it's a lot smarter to kind of stay with what you're doing, let them stay with what they're doing, because somebody else is going to do it. And if you go ahead and do it now, then you're just creating what somebody else is about to do, the same thing. So, and it's the same way with a lot of locality stuff. Like, a lot of, like Justin, you plugged in the Ladies Island locality to the Tessera stuff, and there are a lot of people are going to do that. That's why a lot of these localities and wild types are good. But you always want the people that just work the localities and wild types, and then let somebody else.
See, that's why I like Billy Hunt
stuff.
so much, because Billy Hunt does both. Like, he has enough animals to where he still does his pure stuff with like his Petersons, but then he's also kind of putting some other stuff in the mix and trying things out. Like, I'm that same way. Like, as much as I'd want to stay hyper focused on stuff in particular, like I get too curious to see what would happen if you did X, put X with Y, and especially with chondros, man, it's like there's just not knowing what you're gonna get, and I gotta explore it. That's just the way I am. But there is something to be said for having, a really killer line of something that you've been working for, and that's what I plan to do with the Ladies Island stuff. But I gotta have a foot in both holes in that way.
And that's I think that's great. For me in my head, I need to be specific to keep me sane. And I have some other stuff that I do outside of snakes, especially now in the summer months. So I can't have a lot, because then my mental health will go down.
Dude, it's time consuming, man. It'll make you, because right now I have more snakes than I've ever had before now, and man, it's when I'm not at work, I'm doing snakes. I take 2 days out of the week to kind of hang with my girlfriend and take the night off from snakes. But if I'm not at my day job, I'm in here, and it's time.
That's your jam. You go for it. But for me, it just doesn't work. And to your point,
for sure,
that you were saying about someone else going to take those line and mix them, whatever. One of my first thoughts when I started my selections and whatnot was looking at the ball python market. There wasn't a selector breeding for a good looking normal. It was like, grab whatever and breed it to a morph, get whatever. And my thought, and I think I'm pretty sure I heard this from someone somewhere, that if there was effort into selecting a pretty normal, you're going to get pretty base morphs. So for me, I'm like, I wanted to make, at the time, a pretty normal, what I considered the southern look wild type coastals, for anyone else to go and grab them and do anything else with them.
Yeah. Exactly.
So if you want a nice base, then you get a nice base, and that was always my plan with coastals. Period. Right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do with the poplin carpets. I mean, I have no morphs within poplin carpets anymore. Granted, I have a few different looks that I'm going for. Higher yellows, higher blacks. But yeah, I mean that's the same thing I do with them. It's very hyper focused on there's a route. So everything's got a route except one animal. I don't even know where she's heading yet, but she's just she's an oddball, but we're really excited nonetheless.
And that's that's an aspect of it too that I haven't really thought of, but it is as far as like putting in the effort into making just really killer baseline normal animals is like it doesn't fit into the rat race of things. Like that's like no one's gonna stop and say, okay, well, I'm gonna do these things for 5 seasons or whatever, see what I can make happen, and then by the time you're sort of caught up to where you're like, all right, it's time to tie in some other stuff into these, like there's so many things that you've already, like trends that you've already missed, but I mean, that's not to say that there's not going to be another one, the following year or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's like with anything, you want the best cake or whatever. You start out with the best ingredients.
Yep.
Yeah, man. That's why I just love normals, man. I feel like that's where it starts for everything. Because I've always had the same opinion. The nice normals will make nice morphs, like you can completely change the look of any morph or combination with a nice wild type. Like it's the sky's the limit with that stuff, and I feel like there's not nearly enough effort going into some of that, because what if somebody was selective breeding really light, ball pythons, just normal ball pythons, but they were insanely light. What would that do to just a normal pastel? You know what I mean? Like, could you make a normal pastel look like a super with just some wild type, influence? So there's a lot of things that could be done with just some. I say simple. It takes years to really, to really nail down a selective breeding project. Especially with wild types.
There's something to be appreciated for a simple sort of project like that, where it's like, I'm just gonna see how nice I can make these corns, these balls, these carpets look. Like nothing fancy, nothing crazy. I may be one of only a handful of people that actually like are truly interested and care enough to carry it out. But like that's one of the things I'm super excited about with the Ladies Island corns is like what is untapped. Like what's going to happen when I start putting these things into each other, and then for the next 2 or 3 years. And like, it may not, like, there's probably a lot of people that are like, whatever, man, it's not a, Tessera or Orchid or something in terms of corns, but it's like, to me, it's like, this is cool as hell. Like, it's awesome.
And see that stuff bothers me because I was actually thinking about this like in my daydreaming the other day, just thinking about stuff within the community. I feel like a lot, all that stuff goes so underappreciated in this hobby, and it's frustrating at how like little people will think of it. It's like this wild type corn snake, to one person it's a wild type corn snake that's worth $20, but it's like, no, this is a island locality in South Carolina that was wild caught. Somebody put effort into catching this thing, acclimating it, making sure it's good in captivity, breeding it, getting eggs. Like the same effort, if not more, went into getting that snake and these babies than your morph, like, because that popped out. Like, I'm sorry, that just came out, because you made a combo. Somebody really put effort into getting these things established.
Well,
so it's like I feel like people cut that down so much just because it's a wild type, and it's, I don't know, it's frustrating.
People forget, man, a lot of the morphs we have now popped out of wild caught corns. Like, that's one of the things that, I may not see anything ever, in terms of like line breeding these things and stuff. But you think about all the stuff that we've seen from wild caught corns and stuff that are responsible for the combos and morphs we have now. It's like, it's really not that out of the question to think that, that there's serious potential for something to come out of that project.
All base, single gene morphs came from wild animals, like they came from somewhere, like at least, it's, but if you take combinations out of it, I'm not in the morph game, so I know there's like, one name can have like 4 different morphs in it. So like those aside, but like all base single gene morphs, they came from wild types.
And the power that some of those have, though, because you think about like Sunkist, like that was just, I think, an animal or two that Kathy Love hatched out of a pretty ordinary pair of corns. But you put Sunkist into stuff, and it really, it's recessive, so it takes a little more time to see it, have it come to light. But like, it does some really cool stuff when you tie it into the things. Same with Cinder, which came from Keys corns. Like, you tie Cinder into some stuff, and it does some really neat things. Like, it's just, I don't know. That's kind of the exciting part for me. And even then, at the end of the day, it's like you're still producing just some nice looking corns that someone somewhere appreciates. Yeah, they're not going to be stupid expensive, but people like Mike Kosicki are going to be into it.
Yeah,
Chris is going to think they're awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever.
Yeah,
mission accomplished.
I don't know. The day that I saw a post, this was a while ago. This was a couple years ago, actually. Still remember it because it bothered me so much. Somebody posted on Facebook that they just had their first corn clutch hatch, and the first one out was a normal, and they were just pissed about it.
Oh,
and I'm like,
I think I remember you talking about that.
I did. It had me hot, man. Like, they were genuinely upset, like very, very upset that the first snake out was a normal. I'm like, you're garbage. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's terrible. That is terrible.
I remember that with the MP Forum 2 people hatching Jags. They're like, oh no, I got only 2 Jags. This sucks. Now I have to. That's why the Jag Sibs like came about.
Yeah,
I'm getting rid of the project.
Yeah, and now it's backwards. You're doing a Jag and another morph. It's like, oh no, I don't want any Jags.
Yeah,
no.
no.
Attached to the Jag. It's
Do you think though that
Yeah.
like with caramel in particular and carpets and stuff like that has more of the incomplete dominant inheritance, like that took off more because people saw more immediate results from stuff like that? Because Jag's incomplete dominant, right?
Yeah, Jag's incomplete dominant, but the super
Jag was
form
everywhere
is.
too.
I'm gonna say codom for the sake of just making it roll off the tongue easier. I mean incomplete dominant before anyone gets their panties in a twist. Like when I say codom, know that I mean incomplete dominant. I know it's not the right terminology.
Get over
incomplete
it.
Dominant is just it's like maclets. It's
not like
work.
Macklin. Shut up. We're not doing that. Do not. That pisses me off more than that damn corn snake shit.
Oh man,
get out of here.
Well, I'm just saying like stuff like that.
Kidding.
I think that's a big part, especially. I mean, in everything, not even just carpets, but stuff like that is the reason so many other like lines and morphs kind of got just looked over because people had to wait 2 seasons or 3 seasons to see it, to see results. Like with the codom stuff, people were like, sweet, I just got to breed it once and I got it, like perfect. And so I feel like that a lot of people took that ball of whatever species, and sort of ran with it. And I mean, it's nice, but then you also have the point now where stuff like in terms of corns, just because that's how I can sort of relate to the whole thing, is like Tessera and Mask and some of those other morphs that it's like now you have to be way more selective to not have it because it's been used so much now. And I don't know if it's the same with caramel and carpets now, or if that's kind of remained relatively isolated, but I think Jag's probably a better example of something that's like.
Yeah. Well, I think caramel and Jag.
People see it and they don't want that, but that's what they get. And it's like even if you were trying your best not to have that included in things, you still somehow end up, because some of the mask stuff in corns in particular, like some of them you can't even tell almost. Like it's an odd gene that I understand why people would find it annoying if they don't want it. It's still kind of confusing to me, honestly, because there's some that have like 0 expression, and then there's some that have a ton of expression. So it's kind of hard to say one way or the other. But that seems to be a common thing now that all that stuff has been bred so much that it's hard to dodge.
Yeah, and I mean with like carpets, especially Jags and caramels, those were like the first affordable morphs. So like when they were on, like everybody was getting them in, because they were affordable, they were something different, so there were so many caramel Jags in the market, and there still are, caramel's used all the time. Now that hypo has made its way in the US a lot more, I see people using that a little bit more, versus caramel. Hypos are still a lot more expensive at the moment. But now that hypo's around, we can make true ghosts, with these carpets. And because a lot of people, back before we could get hypos, they were calling a caramel xanthic, a ghost.
Yeah.
That was an American ghost, an Australian ghost was a hypo, and so
I don't know. I like caramels though. I do like a nice, especially like supers.
Yeah,
I really like a nice caramel. Jags never did a whole lot for me. I mean, obviously snakes like Benjamin, that's a killer. Yeah. That's the first animal I think of when I think of Jag carpets. Like that's obviously a stellar animal, but for the most part, Jags are, except that one that Jake had though, that went to Billy, was that IJ Jag. Oh my God. Like there are some that I'm like, okay, I'm here for it. And then there's others that I'm like, it's Jag,
I've always thought Jags were like really pretty. Like I absolutely love the pattern of a Jag. I think it's amazing, but
my only problem with Jags is that every time I've had Jag clutches, I get like 90-80% Jag clutch. So I'm like, okay, cool.
Wow.
I'm gonna use this guy because his line, his mom, whatever. So, but I get 10 eggs and 1 is a normal. Everything else is Jag. 7 eggs and 2 are normals and everything else is Jag. So if I want to make a selection or whatever, or because I don't breed that much, I had 3 clutches this year, but 1 was just 1 good egg. So 2 clutches this year. And I don't think I ever done more than that ever. 3 clutches is my tops. So if I'm doing a clutch and it's 90% Jag, then I'm not going to keep all the Jags, right?
Right.
So that's the only reason why I kind of had to step back from Jag and I only have 1. Even when I was doing the Azantic Jag that I had, again, I had to the gold Jags. When I bred it to the Russian, there was only 1 normal, and there was like 4 Jags. It's like, I don't know, like, what's going on.
Well, when it comes to the reds, as far as hatching those, like, how do you go about picking holdbacks? I mean, surely at this point you've seen enough of them to kind of have an eye for what you want to, what stands out and what wouldn't.
A little bit. I'm still learning. It's better if you wait for 1 or 2 sheds, but I do.
Or 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
Whichever comes first.
I have the reverse Burke. I don't like holding back a lot, and that's that's a curse for me because I've sold animals and I'm like, why did I do that? Or I keep just 1, and then the parent dies or whatever, and then your holdback dies, and you're like, well, I only did it once, so there it goes. So I have that curse that I'm trying to kind of step away from that, and this year I've kept more, and that's why I have a lot of head of Xantics and a lot of other stuff. Because it's just I need to learn to hold back things.
Right.
So what I was looking at is the contrast between the red and the pattern. So if you see the red, it's really like blood or like orange, rusty, and then the pattern itself, it's a grayish, yellowish. So then once they keep shedding, that contrast only going to get better, and as minimal black as I could find on the borders of that pattern. That's what I've been selecting for. It just on looks, and now that I'm holding back a little bit more and a little bit later and keeping them for at least a year, I've noticed that they just shed a lot of their black. Like they just keep getting brighter and they shed a lot of the black. But that initial color that you see when they're first shed, it's a good indicator. They're just going to get exponentially better from that. The black fades with age, but if it's something, I'll show you. If it's something like this, the black usually stays for a little while. So this is more of a high pattern, high black.
Yeah.
So you can see that saddles or not flames on the side. That black, it's probably going to stay. It might get a little bit faded over time. I have an aunt from this girl that as they become adult, they kind of just go through this ghost phase where they just lose a lot of the richness in the dark, in the black.
Mm-hmm. So how's the sort of switching gears, the Simalia?
They're doing pretty good. This year, I actually KJ contacted me. He's like, "Hey man, my female turned out to be a male. Are you interested in seeing if we can get a clutch? Because I have a male and that male." You know, I've heard a lot about male not combat, but having 2 males with Simalia actually helps a lot. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So he sent me his male. So I have his male now in quarantine. And what I'm going to do is this right here. That's where I got my Simalia. So I got my male pattern less already on the side. I don't know if I can turn this on. And then on the bottom, there he is. So it's a patternless Azantic that I got from Nick Mutton. And then on the bottom, I have the female, which is a pattern Azantic that I got from Dan Mallory. You're probably not going to see her. She's just going to stay in there. And you get the dogs out of their rooms. Hear the clicky clack. Come on. And I did get a clutch out of them last season. I wasn't planning on pairing them, but the female, and I'll show you pictures, the female got really big and she's starting to swell up. I'm like, yep, well, I'm going to pair them because why not? She's showing signs. So I pair them and they looked up. She ovulated and she gave me, I think, 7 eggs. 2 of those, 7 or 9 eggs. I know 2 of those were bad. And 3 or 4 were not showing any veins. And then there was 1 that was showing veins. So all of them died except for that 1 that was showing veins. And it went the distance until day 65. At day 65, I saw the little slit. I'm like, oh, man, it's coming out. So I started opening, and it drowned on the egg. So I I wasn't able somehow to like get the slit off, and it just drowned on the egg. So I go, well, shit. I got eggs, so
yeah,
I'm close. So maybe that's her gravid. You can see on the side on the right,
yeah,
how swelled up she is and how dark she was. I was noticing she was looking for cold. She was on the bottom. She was where she was, but close to the window. She was on the bottom, so she was getting into the mid 60s, maybe even lower at night, and she was still looking for more cold. So I think having them that, or giving them that cold snap in the winter, they're seeking for that. This year, I didn't cut her this last season. I guess I didn't cut her heat at night completely like I did her first season, and she just didn't go. She was still looking for cold. She was never in the heat. So I'm guessing she needs that just no heat at night for X amount of time, and that induces ovulation or growth.
And had you tried pairing them prior to that season?
No, that was the first season, the first time pairing them. I saw all the good signs, so I'm like, I'm going to throw them in there. And in that passageway that like Owen has for some of his stuff, and other people, and like I forgot his name from California, he also have him too. I met him. Anyways,
Wheeler.
Is it Brandon?
Brandon Wheeler. Yeah, I met him in Tilly in 2019. He's pretty cool. So what I'm going to do here, the other animal from KJ has another Vision 222 on him. So I'm going to stack them and then just do like a nice tannin bar condo and then open them and just let them roam free once it just starts getting cool and see what happens.
Are yours as demonic as mine was?
Yes. The male is terrible. I can't, mine at least, I haven't tried holding KJ's. But mine is crazy all the time. He doesn't strike at the glass or anything like that. But I can't touch him.
Yeah.
And getting him out is a pain. Getting the female out, it's kind of pain. So I think having that passageway eliminates
a lot easier.
Yep.
Because mine was a nightmare getting him out, getting him back in. Like, every time I had to do a cage cleaning, I was like, let me clear up the next half hour of my day because it's a freaking chore, man. It
is. Thankfully, I don't really handle any of my snakes. I touch a few of them, but it's just once in a blue moon. Yeah. So not touching them, it's fine.
And do you plan on getting into like pursuing any more Simalia, or is it just Nauta that you're pretty much?
They're too big right now. If any Moluccans become available and they don't want $10,000 for them, I really would like to get into them. I had one a while back while I still was in college. and I wasn't ready for it. But I would love to have another one. But I think it's going to be a long time until we get there, or until I can buy one, unless I get lucky.
It seems to me that, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but like scrubs in particular, and I guess when we're talking barnecks, like they seem to get really popular, and then after about a year, you see a lot of people sort of start to get out of them because they just, like, I think there's this initial sort of allure to them that maybe they're romanticized a bit, and that there's something that they're really not. Because I noticed that just within the last 2 or 3 years or so, it seemed like everyone got really heavy into scrubs, or at least a lot of people I know got heavy into scrubs, and maybe they only bought 1 or 2 of them, but eventually it seemed like they were kind of over it and got out.
I think that the reason why the pythons in the clouds, I forgot the name of that one, Bolin's pythons are popular and more popular than other scrubs is not because of not necessarily how it looks, but because it's a scrub that's tame. They're calm, they're nice.
Anti-scrub.
Yeah, they're chill. If all scrubs were chill like Bolin's, I think they would be more common. But if you have a 12-foot angry rope that anytime you
a lot of snakes,
or you need to get his water bowl out, you need a shield, then it's a pain. A lot of people go, nope, I don't need this anymore, because there's this feeling that we need to interact, and we need to. If I don't touch it, if I don't get it out, it's just not interacting with me. And I think we forget that. Reptiles don't interact with each other. They're not mammals.
They're okay with that. Yeah.
They don't need to be handled. Nothing handles them in the wild.
I don't know, man. My rhinos seem to. That's like one of very few snakes, if not the only ones I know of, that actually seem to genuinely enjoy coming out and looking around.
Well, see, I think there's a difference.
They're so curious.
I think there's a difference between enjoying coming out and exploring and looking around versus being handled.
Sure. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think they necessarily like being in your hands, but I think they like exploring.
Who, the rhinos?
Yeah.
False.
Yeah.
The babies, you can definitely tell. My 2 smaller ones, they're much more like, oh shit, like something's got me. And then the bigger ones are kind of like, oh, okay, cool. They're checking it out. And
there's definitely, the domestication of snakes, right? But majority of them, and especially with these Simalia that haven't been in the wild for so long, it's going to take a long time until they're okay with people interacting with them the same way that we interact with carpets and other stuff like that.
And I mean, I say that about people sort of getting out of scrubs because that was sort of my experience with it. Like, I was very excited to have Tannenbar, and it was cool and all. But then it was one of those things where it's like, I got to clean your cage, which means I got to pull you out and everything else in your cage out. And then I have to somehow get you to let go of whatever I have you on and then put you back in. And it just got to the point where I was like, he's taking up space that I need. He's cool. I didn't like, it was enjoyable for a little while. And then sort of the facade faded. And I was like, okay, this is why I don't do bar necks. This is why I don't want one that's bigger than this. Mother of God.
Yep.
I still want tandem bars. I've kind of lost my itch to have a substantial amount of scrubs, but I want some of the smaller locales. I still want tandem bars. So if whenever you get some, you got that itch to move those babies, let me know.
We'll see, man. We'll see. I was contacting Dan Larry about another female, and he's like, I can't even find them. And if I find them, I'm gonna keep them because they're gonna be tough to find.
Yeah, they are.
Year. So I really hope I can get lucky at some point, get at least 2 much in my career. I would be okay with that. Or if we can get some stuff from Europe, because I know there's some people having success in Europe, bring in. That'd be nice.
I remember talking to Harlan about them when I got my tandem bar, and he's like, dude, we used to bring those in all the time. They were cheap. They were not hard to get.
Yeah, they were like trash
back
then.
Yeah, they were like the IJs of the scrub world.
Exactly.
People were like, why do you want that? And then it's like, now we can't get them. And so it's, Sucks.
Story of all the cool shit.
Yep, pretty much.
And that's a good segue on why I have Chilobothrus.
Yes.
Because if nobody keeps them, they're gonna disappear. They're gonna go away because they stink. If you pissed them off, they're I don't know if they're that hard starting them. And I knock on wood because I've only had one litter. And they don't have any morph. They just look plain Jane. There's
but you don't need morphs with Jamaicans in particular.
Sure, yeah, of course. But all the others, Jamaicans are like the jungles of the Chilobothrus, right? Everybody likes a Jamaican, but not a lot of people keep.
I want Jamaicans. I need to hit up Sir Stone because we had discussed some Jamaican action. So
they're nice. I do like. Let me take mine out. See if I can take her out. I do like that they remind me a lot of scrub pythons, just because of their head and kind of their scalation that they have. There you
go. Are yours assholes too?
A little bit. She won't. I don't think she's ever bit.
Pretty much everyone I've talked to that owns them, they're like, yeah, they're kind of like almost like Corrales. They're just high strung. Like they're not necessarily like angry. They're just
not happy to see you.
They just don't enjoy you, you know?
And that's fine. I prefer for them to be flighty than just liquid goo all over your hands.
Oh, yeah. I'll take that. Yeah.
And I don't get that much goo unless I'm like manhandling them, right?
Yeah.
But other than that,
how old is that one?
This one is a couple years old. I want to say more than 2, less than 3.
I don't know. I find like the Jamaican boas in particular, I find just fascinating because you're looking at something that has like the same protection status as like a tiger.
Yeah.
But we can own them, like we can have them. And it's just, to me, that's like one of the coolest things. Is like, this is a species that's literally on the brink of like disappearing, and there's probably more in captivity than there are in the wild. And like, we have we're able to own that, you know, like that's cool to me. And I know it's kind of sad given, you know, their current status and sort of the story of them. But I think it's cool that we can at least still maintain them in captivity, you know, and they're not so difficult to breed that they're going to just completely disappear entirely, you know?
Yeah. That's because they're CITES 1. You can sell them in your state. Like if I produce any, I only have that female. I could get a male, but I only have that female for now. I could sell them in my state, but if I want to give you one or Jake one, then I would have to gift it to you, and that's a thing that happens in the Chilobothrus circle. There's a lot of stuff that you can't sell outside of your state, so you have to gift. So the people that you're gifting to, if you're responsible about it and you actually like and want the hobby to grow, you try and curate and look for people that are interested in these and are going to keep going. So for that, I think it's pretty neat that you're kind of building your own or building a circle of like people that are interested in these. If not, they're not going to go anywhere. Nobody's going to keep them. Same thing with the Puerto Rican boas.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the same status as the Jamaican boas, so they're still.
Well, it's so goofy because it's like there's enough of them established in captivity now to where, like there isn't a drive for smuggled animals out of Jamaica.
No.
So it's like, why are we still so worried about it that we have to, you know, there's all this like red tape, even when they're in the States already, they're coming from an established breeder where they are documented as being captive bred. Like it sounds like also they're so uncommon in Jamaica now that like even if people wanted to go down there and find some and smuggle them, their chances of getting more than like maybe a couple is pretty slim. So it's like, we know these aren't wild caught animals that we're moving between collections. Like why is it such a big deal? Like I just find that really frustrating with
it's
that.
A lot of red tape. It's a lot of government agencies just dragging their feet. Puerto Rican boas recently had a review on the island on the diversity and on the size of the population, and the researchers came out and said, well, the population is established enough and there's enough diversity in the island that we say that the species can go down to CITES 2.
Mm-hmm.
And this still hasn't happened because every government agency that makes that happen is just dragging their feet and waiting on, I don't know, something.
Right.
And this is one of the Puerto Rican boas. Not flashy. They kind of fade out as they age. I was going to try and get the female out, but she's in her tube. Getting her out of her tube is going to be impossible. So this is one of the babies I produced in 2018. I've noticed they have a really slow growth spurt, all of them, all the Chilobothrus, or I feed them not as much as they should. I don't think so. I think it has a pretty nice, and I've seen them in the wild, so I know how what their muscle mass is in the wild and whatnot. So the only way you're going to have one of these is if someone gives it to you. And because a lot of them have a bad rep of being smelly and being aggressive, people shy away from them, just like some of the scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, he hasn't tried to bite. He's just been flighty. Hasn't gooped on my hand.
How do those compare in care to like the carpets and stuff? Are they in a similar sort of vein? Like, are you keeping those differently than you're keeping the carpets?
Same stuff. I keep everything in the same room, and I do the same stuff. I actually, I do one thing that I really like about this genus boas is that it's very, very similar to the Morelia complex.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is that instead of being in a big continent, they're all spread out in islands. Yeah. But we have Bimini, which are really dark, and they have the really big ones, who are the Cuban Boas, and can get 12 feet long. And you have mid-range. These guys can get pretty big, 9 feet. And then you have the Jamaican Boa. So you have all this diversity that if they were in the same continent and you look at them, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that's Morelia. And they kind of fill the same role in the wild. They're up in trees. They're semi-arboreal. There've been cases of Puerto Rican boas eating other snakes as well. And they eat iguanas, they eat rats, they eat chickens. And in Puerto Rico, they have adjusted very, very well to living in human spaces. And because of that, and the people actually caring about them, and the good work that people in Puerto Rico have done of like telling people, hey, these are native, don't kill them, they're protective. That's why the population has gone up dramatically compared to just a few years, because people just leave them alone, and they thrive in human environment. In a shed, they've always found. I remember rescuing one out of like an old car that a friend of mine had in his house. They were just eating chickens, eating rats, eating eggs, all that stuff, eating cats, iguanas now, because we have iguanas everywhere.
Is there
Florida? Go ahead.
Is there a lot of superstition culturally surrounding those, like there is the Jamaicans?
Yeah, and snakes overall. There's I feel, I don't know, because I've been out of Puerto Rico for a long time, that it's less now.
Yeah.
But while I was growing up, I remember the Puerto Rican racers, Boricanopsis, that's the genus. They used to just get cut in half and burn it, because if you don't cut in half, they're going to come together. Or if you don't burn it, they're going to call mom, and mom is really big, and you're going to die. They're going to kill you at night. Or same thing, Puerto Rican boas, you're going to kill them because they get really big, and they're going to eat your babies. Just stupid stuff like that. And
there was either a podcast or an article I read about the Jamaicans in particular, and it's not even necessarily like, that's the other funny thing about Jamaicans. It's like, it's not smuggling that's the problem with Jamaicans.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's people see them and they kill them. Like, there's so much superstition surrounding them in Jamaica that people are literally like going and finding them and killing them.
Yep.
Like, that's
there used to be stories of Puerto Ricans opening up. This was when I was a kid. I was always fascinated about snakes and stuff, right? So what happens if people know that you're fascinated about snakes? They tell you stories about snakes dying or torturing snakes, right? Because that's what you want to hear, right? So people used to tell me, yeah, we open snakes up and we take the fat out, the Puerto Rican boys. We take the fat out and we use the fat for arthritis and whatever. And we sew it back up. The snake is fine. Just release the snake back up. Like No, that doesn't work. That's you just killed the snake. No, it's fine. You just scrape the fat. You use that for joints and whatever. Right? Okay. So as to your point, the number one thing, it's not smuggling, it's habitat loss, and it's people just killing them.
Yeah. And it's just goofy because the funny thing about that and so many other parts of like human history and cultural sort of mythology is like one person had to try that.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, yeah, it worked. Cool. And then they tell their buddies. Now everyone's like, hey, you just take out some of this fat and just rub it on your skin. And all of a sudden your wrist doesn't hurt anymore. Like, put it on my knees. And it's like someone had to literally go and be like, you know what would probably cure my arthritis if I cut open that snake and rub it all over my body.
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
It's just, it cracks me up. And there's so many other things like that, you know, like people like sucking the venom out of bites and stuff.
Yeah.
They probably got a dry bite and did that thinking that cured them. And now they're like, hey, you guys, if this happens, do this. And it's like, how many of your buddies had to die because they thought that would work?
Yeah.
It's just, our species just, it amazes me that we've survived as long as we have. And I think it's purely because of our intelligence and our overall size that we've made it this far. Because if we were a lot smaller, and even if we were just as smart, we would have been gone a long time ago, I think.
Yep. And we don't have any native species that are venomous. Well, we do have a rear-fanged, mildly venomous, which is the Basuca, but it never causes anything other than like mild swelling at most.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the fear of like, nope, you got to kill it because someone from somewhere released cobras in here, and you don't know, right? You got to kill it.
Yeah, and that's still, man. That's just, and it's sad how we have not progressed as a species as a whole.
I think it's getting better though.
It is. It's
thanks to the internet, more information's getting out there. And
it's getting out there, but I still see posts all the time of people just killing snakes, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I think that's, human habitat destruction and just killing the snakes that I think is the biggest cause to pretty much almost all of our problem species.
That's just inherited ignorance and inherited misinformation.
Diamondbacks didn't disappear from here because people were collecting them. Like, yeah, some were collected, but that's not why there are basically no eastern diamondbacks in Beaver County anymore. You know, like, it's just because they were abundant for a while, and people just destroyed the habitat.
That habitat loss with those,
Just 2 and 2 makes 4.
But that's all learned behaviors. You know, that's stuff that just gets passed on from generation to generation. Of like, like coach whips around here. Like, there's all kinds of southern myths with different species, and like the yellow tails on copperheads will sting you, and like
I've heard
the tails of the blue tongue or the 5-line skinks, the blue tails are poisonous, and like just all kinds of like goofy shit.
I heard the coach whips. The coach whips will grab their tails in their mouth and make like a rolling tire,
wheel.
Wheel, and they'll roll downhill to chase you.
But once again, that's one of those things where it's like, what were you on when, like, for the first person that decided that was a thing? Like, what kind of drugs were you doing? Because, damn.
Yeah, and going back to the habitat loss point, a lot of these Chilobothrus species, especially the ones that are in smaller islands, like probably Mono Island Boa, some of the Bahamian boas, the Cat Islands, all those are inlets. So sea level keeps going up, and those boas are going to go away, and no amount of protection and CITES permits or whatever is going to keep them alive. And a lot of, sadly, and I've heard you guys talk about this, and NPR talked about this, if the species is not flashy, not even the zoo wants them. So
yeah. And even with the zoos, though, I can't say that I necessarily even blame them. Like, they gotta sell tickets, and brown snakes don't sell tickets. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like there does need to be that group that is devoted to them and sees the value in those, and physically or story related. How that. I get it. Yeah.
And that's why I'm very happy to be part of that small group that keeps these boas because they're very dedicated into that. It's like we want to keep them lines stay separate. We all know like where it came from, what to make sure. Okay, we're going to talk to so and so. So and so has a different one, and we try to spread the love to people that still wants them and want to keep them for what they are, and they don't want to.
Which that was another interesting thing. We had Rob Stone on Snakes and Stogies a couple of weeks ago, and he had mentioned, I think, the Puerto Ricans.
Yep.
And they did some genetic study on the ones in the States, and he said it was amazing how genetically diverse they were for being cut off for so long. Like he said that there was not what they expected at all. They fully expected a bunch of snakes that were going to be all very, the lineage is very closely tied to one another, and he's like, it actually really wasn't, which I think that's probably to be expected with a lot of the insular species and stuff, because they're like, if inbreeding was such a big issue, they wouldn't be around anymore. So clearly they found a way to where like the bad has sort of been weaned out, and so it's like the inbreeding can continue because all the detrimental sort of genetic side effects of that have been weeded out over however many millennia. But I just thought that was really cool, and I'm sure it's the same case with a lot of the other species in that genus, Jamaicans and the other stuff. But I thought that was really cool. So
that's also hat off to those people that founded, or the fundamentals of that circle that made an effort to keep that and keep those lines separate, and make sure that the people that they were gifting snakes to, they were gifting different pairs, and they were gifting stuff. Now, okay, I can't give you a female now, but give me a heads up next year. I'm gonna have someone from somewhere else. I have a one from Rob Stone that he produced. I think it was last year, Puerto Rican. So my pair is unrelated. So I have two from them, and I'll probably pair them next year, this coming season. Then I have a male. I think it's a male from him. Hopefully.
At what point did you get into the genus? Like when?
Oh, I got the genus at the same time that I got Morelia. I did get Morelia first, 2009, but right in 2010, I got my first pair of the genus Chilobothrus, which was Cuban Boas, and I got a suspected pair. Ended up to being a male. And then Jeff was kind enough to send me. He's like, "Yeah, I don't have that. I don't work with those anymore, but I'm going to send you a Berry Island Boa, which is Strigilatus, the same species or same species as the Bahamian Boas, just a different locality island." And I fell in love with that locality. That female was gravid and passed away in 2020. Just liver failure out of the blue. She was gravid and just passed away. And I'm lucky enough now that I have I'm doing a breeding loan with animals from Jeff and Jay, and I have 2.2 now. The female looks gravid, so hopefully she'll drop in the next month or so. And then I have a non-related, I would think it's a non-related pair that's coming with Eleuthera locality too. And I'll take the Cuban Boa out. I did a breeding loan with my male to F1 female from that Jay Wagner has, or she's in shed. And we've done it twice. We did it on 2018, and then we did it again in 2020. This is one of the 2020 babies. This is one of the females.
Wow. And
then I traded the Crutchfields for one of their lines. So now I have my original male, which is from Bar's line, another male from Crutchfield line, and then this female, which is an F1 from Walcott and the Bar's line. And then I have a local friend that lives in Iowa. These are not CITES 1, so these can be sold. And then I have a friend in Iowa, which has one of my males that we produced in 2018, and has a female from Steve Boswick, which is a different line. I think it's a line from Europe somewhere. I don't remember. And she's in shed. You can see that.
If someone wants to get into that genus, where do you think is a good starting point?
Crutchfield, myself, there was someone else that was producing some, but they're rare because their litters are very small. Like this was a litter of 5. The one before was a litter of like 3. So they're really small litter. They only go every other year. And there's only like a handful of people, maybe like 5 that gets lucky maybe every other year or something like that. See, Boswick, I think, does every other year. But again, they go quick.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, I did Tinley 2019. There was a guy that stopped. I had her brother on the table, and I got it stopped. I was like, oh, I have a female. It's like, oh, cool. Do you want a male? It's like, no, it's fine. It's like, okay, do you want to sell your female? Because I don't have an unrelated female. Oh, no, that's fine. So I'm sure they're out there.
Yeah.
Just people don't want to breed them. And that's okay, because honestly, when I first started keeping these, I never had the desire to breed them. I wanted to keep them because of the connection with the Caribbean, the connection with Puerto Rico, but the quote unquote fear of like, oh, they eat anoles, they're really picky and blah blah blah, that stopped me from thinking I could breed them.
Yeah.
And I still don't know how true that is, because I only had one. So I had that litter of Puerto Ricans in 2018. I all got them to feed on frozen thawed pinkies by the month. And I maybe I'm being optimistic, but I feel like I can, with work and little tricks that I know, and I'm not afraid to start them on birds. A lot of my snakes eat birds. I think I can have pretty good success with them. And these are so big, they're giants when they're born. They small mice right away. So.
Yeah. Wow.
I was about to say, comparatively to the other ones you had out that were 2 years older, that's insane. The size difference.
They are really, really, really big as when they're born, and that's why they have small litters, right? Because they are giant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rob's mentioned that the Jamaicans can be like, those do require a little bit of work getting those started, but
yeah.
I mean, is diet wise with what you're feeding, everything like carpets and everything, is it all fairly similar too? Do you change it up? Like you mentioned birds. Are you doing anything different with the Chilobothrus stuff?
Same thing. I'm feeding them quail. I'm feeding them chicks, and I'm feeding them rats. I recently found out that they would eat. I found out because I fed them. I knew this. I just haven't done it. They feed on eggs too, and I have a friend that has just chicken eggs. So that's something that I can do too. But honestly, I started doing birds a couple of years ago. I was just looking for a different source and looking for something cheaper. I used to feed chicken drums and wings, usually right before they were going to start laying eggs, to give them like a little bit more. But then after that, I started just putting it more now, and I'd feed rodents either when I want to bulk or when they're coming out of breeding or they're going into it. But mainly, I'm doing quail and chicks.
I looked at wings at one point, and the wings that we have here, like they were just so damn big. I didn't have anything big enough to eat them. Like the flats were so wide. I was like, I literally don't have anything that could eat them. Like,
just give them the drums.
Even those were huge.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, like, because I looked at a bag of like frozen ones, and I was like, these are friggin' gigantic. These are the biggest wings I've ever seen in my life. Anywhere else, I go to a restaurant or something, again, they're all tiny. They're like exactly the size I would need. But it's like when I look at some to feed the snakes, they're all gigantic.
Yeah, I just got a big rodent order in not too long ago, and I bought like four or five bags of quail. So that's gonna be
it's not
for the adult carpets. Stuff coming up, still gonna get mice because it is cheaper, but quail is cheaper than rats by a good bit. So
I wish we had a good solution to be able to do our own quail.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm trying to convince some people that I know local that have chickens, like just incubate the eggs and just call me and I'll grab all the chicks.
You don't even have to do any of the dirty work. Just
nothing. I'll even like give you feed if you want. Just hatch the chicks. I'll go and pick them up.
You can pretend that I'm taking them and raising them up, and there will be
you're not
free on the open range.
Exactly.
I don't know. Like we looked at quail because they, especially like the button quail, like they hatch really quick. Like they don't take long to incubate. Like they produce a lot. They produce quick. My thing is they're so small, and something's been getting into the mouse shed here, like a raccoon or a possum or something. And I know with those tiny quail, if we didn't have them set up in something that was really secure to where nothing could get out and nothing could get in or get to them, which I guess it would actually work great if we wanted to find more yellow rats, because that would be just a magnet for them. Yeah. But I can't think of any way where we could securely do that in a decent number that wouldn't take up a ton of space either. So I don't know. We need to look into it, but we've talked about it a good bit because I definitely would like to offer quail to more of my stuff, and especially the button quail when you're looking at something that's the same size as a small fuzzy or something. But
you can just get an incubator and hatch them, keep them for like not even a day, just keep them until they fluff up, and that's it.
I mean, that's not even the issue. Like I've got hoverbaiters at my parents' house. Like there's like probably 2 or 3 of them over there. So
yeah, you don't need if you want them small, you don't need a space to keep them, house them, just until they fluff up, and then just.
He's got a point, Jake. Well, I think it was like we could buy eggs online, I guess, and incubate them. Like people don't realize you can buy eggs on eBay.
Yep.
Of like any bird you ever want to hatch out.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. Yep. And they somehow ship and everything's fine. It's bizarre, but it's a thing.
And a lot of feed stores, they'll have catalogs that you can order birds through them too. Usually they're like breeds and whatever, so it might be more expensive. But you can I'm sure you can order eggs through them as well. Mm-hmm. One more Chilobothrus to show and tell. I'm gonna take out that Berry Island Boa. Just see if I can take that adult out. Shit.
I've got.
I was gonna say, I see you playing with Rico in the back there. What's he doing? Just hanging out.
Yeah, I was trying to see if he would come up. He's still in jumpy mode.
Oh, like his girl mode, or like
he's bouncy. He's coming all the way up.
He's a weirdo. I love that guy though.
Everyone's kind of in shed today. So this is.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is an adult Berry Island Boa. It's one of the females.
Oh, hell yeah.
See, I always expect him to be like purple. When I hear Berry Island, I expect him to be like some shade of
definitely not. She's a little more blue and gray than she is because she's starting her shed cycle. But for some reason, this steel, blue, gray color, it just does it for me. So, So far, there you go. So far, this is my favorite locality, other than the Puerto Ricans, just because they're Puerto Ricans, right?
Right.
And this is about the size of what an adult would look like. Just lengthy, like a Morelia. It's very arboreal, like a Morelia. Prehensile tail too. So a lot of features.
Do you give those guys like a shelf and stuff like you would a carpet as well?
Yeah,
I
do.
Spend a lot of time off the ground.
Right now, I'm gonna put this girl back. Right now, she's in a tub, but this year I acquired some nice old Neodesha cages.
Oh yeah.
So this whole thing is some of the adult.
I see the one hanging out.
Yeah. Just right here. So she's actually a new girl. Not a new girl, but she's new to starting to breed. And then this girl too in the bottom, and this girl on top. She's one of the Brisbane. So I'm just moved these here because I like to have my females in cages because that way I can see them. I can see their behavior. I can see when they're ovulating, when they're out of heat. Like if something is different, I can see it. And that can give me a trigger on, do I need to get it colder? Do I need to get it warmer? Are they looking for food? Are they looking for meals? Blah, blah, blah. So the same thing I want to do with Chilobothrus, and the same thing I do with Chilobothrus, honestly, but I haven't had space until now. I moved some stuff around. I have 2 of these AP cages kind of empty where I'm going to move some of the Puerto Ricans to those bigger cages, and that whole tower is going to be the Chilobothrus tower, and where they're going to have the same tubes, corrugated tubes, branches, and I use panels, even though right now they're probably not on because in here is 85, so they're probably not on right now.
How do you have those tubes attached to the tops?
For the Neodeshas, I just have a zip tie, just wrapping them on it, and then 2 holes on top, and just zip tying them. For these cages, because I have them on these cages and all my other cages, I have hooks, and what I do is I have one here somewhere. So these have these holes, right? They're already there. So what I do is I open them up a little bit more, and then I take a hook hanger and I put it through there, and I move the hook hanger like that, and then they hang. And if I need to take them out, I put my hand through it, and I move the hook hanger, and I pull them back.
That makes sense. It's a good idea.
So that in the stack, unless you're putting them on the side of the cage, you can't really use the zip tie.
Yeah.
That's another option too, right?
Yeah. Well, that also keeps, like, I'd like to have them on like a perch or something, but I know they'll slide and move around and stuff. And
yeah.
Snake ends up moving it to the opposite end of the cage when they want to be in when it's warmer, so it's just. And
I've noticed all my snakes really like tubes. All of them spend, I want to say, 90% of the time in the tubes. If they're hungry and whatever, they do the same like the ones you saw, just out halfway in the tubes, halfway inside of the tube.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they hang out, at least during the day, most of the time.
Are there any species you want to get into, and maybe you will or maybe you won't? What's on that list?
I did mention the desert king snakes, so that's something that would probably be on the list.
Rhino Rats.
In terms of Chilobothrus, I do want Chrysogaster, I think is how you call it.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're Cat Island, one of those inlets. That's another one that I really would like to have, but those are even more rare, and I don't know if the animals are old or something, and they're not producing. They haven't produced in a while.
Yeah.
Then there's Monenses, Mono Island Boas. Those I know they're in captivity, so hopefully someone will get lucky and they'll disperse. That's for that genus. Other than that, I don't think that I'm interested in any other. I say that, but then I was not offered, but he's like, hey, I also have this locality of Bahamian, like Stridulatus. Are you interested? I'm like, sure. Okay, fine. And they are like the berry, that gray, it's all washed. So there's not a lot of pattern. It's all just all gray. And I really liked, it's like steel blue gray snake. So I think that, yeah, I'm sold. So I don't know. Someone says, hey, there's this weird locality that you haven't heard of, whatever. I'm like, maybe. You know how it goes. For pythons, we talked about the Moluccans, which that's probably going to be I don't know, maybe when pigs fly, who knows. For Morelia, if I can find someone that's hatches really red looking inlands, I might give them a go. That's before I got into the Axanthic, I was looking into really red looking inlands. Not necessarily that they were hatching. It's like, oh, here's some red ones, but that start of that project. Maybe the parents are really red, or in the lineage, it looks like
right. You've got something to work with.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet. If I see it and it's out there and the price is right, I might get into it. Any other Morelia? I don't know. I was really interested into IJs for a little while too. before I got into Axanthic. The reason why I got into Axanthic is I wanted something else to add to the Morelia stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna add. I saw the ghosts that are being produced in Australia, and the red Axanthic or the Craig line Axanthics, and I feel like that's a red animal turned into Axanthic. So that's what turned me into starting the red Axanthic project. I think that's it.
No chondros?
Say again?
No chondros?
No chondros. If I get into a tree, a green snake on a stick, it will probably be basins or emeralds. But it wouldn't be chondros.
Smart man.
The lesser green tree snake.
They are. I don't know. They're just they don't do it for me for some reason. And even basins, I like them. But I've heard so much about them. I could put that space into something else, you know?
Yeah.
So it would be one of those things if somebody was holding a gun to your head and was like, you're going to keep a green snake on a stick. It would be basins.
You've right. Exactly. Yep.
I feel you.
Rhino Rats.
I do like the way Rhino Rats look like.
Everyone needs Rhino Rats.
And the other rhino type snake, the other racer.
Yeah, those things.
Those are nice too.
They're all right.
I want Barons so bad. So bad.
But I learned my lesson with big colubrids. I got a King's Chinese. No, it wasn't Chinese. It was Fujian locality King Raskin. Yeah, from Billy Hunt. And I always wanted one. It's like, okay, I'm gonna get it. And he was cool, but he was just not for me. He ate too much, pooped too much, moved too much. Nope. Sorry, I can't do
those species that just eat you out of house and home. It's
like,
mother of God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need a break from feeding.
I changed all my pits back over to eating double smaller meals because 2 extra large mice is cheaper than 1 medium rat.
And it holds them over just as much as when you're still feeding them like 5 days later.
Yeah, they get
they go right through it.
Once a week, man. I bought 8 bags of jumbo mice just to feed my Pituophis.
Wow.
See, that's why I'm keeping those to like a minimum, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I forget to feed my my king snakes. They've been here for a while. Yeah. And they're just now getting into adult size because I just forget, and I've been treating them like pythons. It's like, oh shit, I need to feed this thing.
Yeah. See, that's the problem because like they get crazier the longer they go. They get crazier.
Dude, my pits get mad when it comes
meth propeltus.
Dude, feeding day, you can tell the difference when like feeding day's coming up. Boy, they just get pissed. They just get mad. Like
they get grouchy. They get hangry.
Yeah, man. You saw the girl the other day right before she was due for a feed. She's only that bad when it's close to feeding day.
So she was on fire.
She's lit up.
She was already angry as is. That just didn't help.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, we are approaching the 2-hour mark. If people want to get a hold of you and follow all the excellent stuff you were doing, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can find me on Facebook on my hobby page, I call it, Basuca Ectotherms, and that's Basuca in Spanish, not in English, Basuca Ectotherms. If you send me a message or a friend request, I should say, on my personal page, and I haven't talked to you, I probably won't.
Stranger danger.
Yeah, it's nothing against you. It's just we haven't talked. But send me a message. Just talk. I like talking snakes. Same handle for Instagram. I try not to post the same thing on Instagram versus Facebook. So if I post a picture on Instagram, it's probably not going to be on Facebook. And I post a lot of stuff now. Once winter comes, I kind of slow down, hunker down. There's stuff that will be available maybe soonish, but might be until the fall until I release stuff because I kind of want to see how things grow up.
Nice.
Wise.
And I only have, I have 23 babies this year. So I guess supplies are low, if you want to call it that. So
supplies are limited.
Yeah. Act now.
Call now. Yeah. All right, man.
Awesome,
we
man.
really appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this was fun. It's great.
It's a long time coming. We've been trying to make this happen. You know, at least I've hit you up a couple times, and just schedules haven't worked out. But I'm glad we made it finally happen. So
yeah, same here. It's been a while. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. This episode was brought to you by BlackBoxCages.com. Once again, check them out. Got some new sizes coming to be announced here soon. So please stay tuned with that. Check out the website. Check out the Facebook and Instagram pages. BlackBox Cages. Oh, man, that rhymed. Nice. And then Steve Snake Shorty's Venom Hot Sauce. He's the boss. The hot sauce boss.
Hot sauce boss.
Of Louisiana. He's
With
a good dude.
plot.
That's right. Check it out. SteveSnakesHorty.com. We will not be having Snakes and Stogies this upcoming week because it's 4th of July, and Phil opted to just say, let's skip a week. So that's what we're going to do. Everyone's going to be busy anyways, so whatevs. But we'll be back Thursday for episode 167. I think so. I've been talking to Pia about an RPI episode, sort of an update.
Can we start at like 5?
Well, it'll be like Derek and her, I think.
Okay, cool.
I don't know yet. We're still working that out. They've got some stuff coming up event-wise that we want to talk about, and
that's cool. Nothing against Cody. Love Cody to death, but
there may be, there may be if we have Cody on, be like, look, we'll give you a half hour because we know that'll give us about an hour, and
which
then
will turn into
just 5. It'll turn into 5.
Yeah.
We love him to death.
Yeah, love Cody to death, but my God,
the man can talk.
Got started.
He's very passionate about what he does.
Oh yeah, no, he's great. I love talking to Cody at Carpet Fest and Daytona.
All right. Well, everyone have a good evening, good morning, good day, whenever you're listening to this, watching it, whatever. We will see y'all later.
Later. Thanks for coming on, Eric.
See you guys.